I'm pretty tough on my Black & Decker hedge trimmers. I dig the tip down in the dirt all the time. Plus, doesn't sound very good internally, got a lot of knocking. So I'm going to take it apart, clean the blades, and grease it up. Before I get it all taken apart and greased up, and I'm also going to sharpen the blades, but let's do a before and after. So here is how it sounds before the repair. And before I start disassembly, make sure it's unplugged. Holding the two pieces of the housing together are 10 T15 Torx screws. They're 8 on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And on the other side, they're 2, 1 on the handle, 1 on the guard. And on this model, the screws are all the same size, so you don't have to worry about which screw goes where. And the model number for this hedge trimmer is HT2200. Got some more screws down here, and they are not T15. Let me see what size they are. These are T20. So this should get me to the gearbox. That's where the grease will be. And I see a greasy fingerprint right there. So it looks like somebody's had this open before. I believe this gear will come out, and yes it will. Not sure what type of grease that is, but further down we see a different kind of grease. Kind of looks like that's the original and that is what someone added. And the cutting action comes in on the blade assembly. These two pieces just slide across the top of each other. So to get these two pieces apart, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sets of nuts and bolts. Before I do that, I'm going to wipe some of this grease off just so it doesn't make a mess. And now I'm going to spray all this off with brake clean. Going to clean the gear up also. And then drop it in the dirt. The screw head on the front is 1/4 inch and the nut on the back side is 11/32. So I've got 7 of those to take off. There's a washer on the back side also, so be careful of that. There's a washer on each one that fits down into that groove. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm missing that one. 5, 6, 7. Be careful of that. You can lose those washers easily. This piece has the cutting edges, so this is what we need to sharpen. To sharpen the blade, I'm going to be using a Dremel grinding stone. It's a 952, and I'm using it in a Craftsman chainsaw sharpener, which is basically a Dremel tool. There's a nice sharp edge on each one of the blades now, both sides. Now for reassembly, I'm going to start by putting a bolt through each one of those holes. And I'm going to lay it down and flip it over, just like that. Now the piece that we just sharpened, I'm going to flip that over, lay that over the bolts, slide one washer over each bolt, making sure that the washer slides down into that groove. Flip the other piece over and fit the bolts through the holes. They should be lined up, which they are. And now you just have to put a nut on the back side of each one. And I can get the nut started on a little ways and then the bolt starts to spin, so I'm not going to be able to tighten it down all the way like this, but I can get them started. And now with the ratchet on one side and the drill on the other, I should be able to tighten them down. And last one. Now with all of them tightened down, make sure this will slide so we're good. put new grease in it, and this is what I have on hand. This is what I'm going to use. Multi-duty complex high temp grease. It's a lot thicker than the white stuff that's in there. I believe that's white lithium grease. So I'm just going to load it up. And on the gear, the smooth side was towards the inside. So it goes back on like that. Also going to put some grease on this piece, and before I do that, I want to make sure, see that little stud sticking out? Looks like that's what engages this, and as that spins around, it pushes this back and forth for the cutting motion. So in other words, I want to make sure that is straight in line with this slot. I don't want that way over here. So I think it's in the right position. And that may be too much grease, but if it is, I don't think it'll cause any problems. It'll just come shooting out somewhere. Now the 4 T20 screws. And with that thicker grease, it should be a lot quieter. That white lithium, I believe it was. I think that was too thin, whoever put that in there. So we'll see what happens in a few minutes. Just getting these screws snug. I don't want to over tighten them because it would be easy to strip this out, putting those metal screws into plastic. Two more to go on the other side. Silicone spray. I'm going to spray that on the blades. Now plug it in, see how it sounds now compared to what it was. So here we go. Oh, that's way better. Let's do before and after. Alright, that's it. That was easy. Sounded much better. Much less of a metal on metal sound like with the thin grease, the white lithium grease I believe it was. I don't know again if I used the right grease. That's what I had on hand. Hopefully that will be fine. And if your model is like mine, you will need a T15 and T20 Torx. You'll need a 1/4 inch and 11/32 socket or wrenches. You'll need some type of grinding stone or file. Using a Dremel type tool makes it much faster, obviously. And on the blade, those washers, I believe they act as spacers, and without those washers or spacers, these three pieces would tighten down tightly against each other, and then you wouldn't get the blade action moving back and forth across. So don't lose those washers or spacers, as I believe they are. And that's it. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.